Welcome everyone to the District 15 Leadership Lab series. This District 15 Leadership Lab series is arranged to share how Toastmasters leadership experiences, including club and district roles, and overall the DTM journey develops into practical, transferable skills that extend far beyond the club meetings. To know more about this one, we have got our esteemed speaker, distinguished Toastmaster International President-elect, Mr. Stefano Maggi. With a career built on both leadership and technical expertise, Stefano Maggi is passionate about empowering individuals and organizations to thrive. His journey began in the world of information technology, where he currently serves as a Senior Director of Technology Operations. But his true passion lies in communication and leadership, a passion ignited by his 20-year journey with Toastmaster Internationals. As a distinguished Toastmaster, two-time distinct director, and international board member, he has witnessed firsthand the transformative power of effective communication. His experiences in the corporate world, coupled with his military service as a lieutenant colonel in the Rhode Island Air National Guard, have further honed his ability to navigate complex situations and inspire action. Today, Stefano balances his professional pursuits with love for adventure, whether it is soaring through the skies, cruising the waterways, or exploring new horizons on two wheels. He believes in embracing life's opportunities with enthusiasm and dedication. In today's presentation, Building Transferable Leadership Skills through Toastmaster, Stefano shares some examples of how experiences in Toastmasters can inform how you lead in your day-to-day. Let us give a warm welcome to our President, Toastmaster International President-elect, Stefano Maggi.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Samir. I would be remiss if I didn't say hi to all of the folks out there in the audience that I've met before and got to hang out with before, especially in District 15, but also from around the world. I'm so happy that you found District 15 and came to attend, from region advisors to past international directors and just folks that I've met from around. Hey, Candy, I see you. Just folks that I met while I was visiting District 15. So it's great to see all those friendly faces that I've met before and spend some time with you all. Well, see, now you're like making me all front page here. So now I have to fix all the little defects here in the green screen. See that? See, this is real life, guys. This is real life. And if you've had time to interact with me, then you'll realize that that's what you get. So we're here to talk a little bit about transferable skills through Toastmasters. And the core of that really is understanding some complex things about Toastmasters and yourself and just believing them. What are you talking about, Stefano? Number one is that you have money and you choose how you spend your money every day. And one of the things that I'm guessing, since you're in this room, is you've chosen to invest in Toastmasters. No, you actually haven't. You've chosen to invest in human capital, yourself. Yes, shift your thinking. This is not just paying money to Toastmasters to meet some people and see some other people speak. This is an investment in yourself. I know it sounds very cliche, right? It's true. You're investing in yourself, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. When you invest in yourself, what are you hoping to get out of it? I don't know if you've ever thought that through. What are you actually paying for? What do you hope to accomplish? I'd say it's personal evolution. I know, right? Big words, but it's personal evolution. You want to be somewhere, some place in your life that you don't think that you are right now. You want to get there, and you expect that Toastmasters is going to do that. You think that it can through education, and that includes the Pathways curriculum. There's great stuff in there. There's exposure, through different people networks and different teams and organizations through Toastmasters. And if you're a club member, you may be like, whoa, there's people in other clubs. I mean, you're here, so you're probably aware of that. There's more than just a handful of clubs in the world. There's like 12,000 of them. But each of them has people just like you that are looking to do roughly the same thing, which is better themselves. And there's experience. The best thing about Toastmasters is that it's fairly low stakes. I know one of the favorite quotes that I keep getting thrown back in my face is, or my favorite quotes is, there is no such thing as a Toastmasters emergency. There really isn't, guys. There's no need to ever wake up Samir at 2 o'clock in the morning with a Toastmasters problem. Really? Come on, guys. No, there's no need for that. So this is a low stakes environment. Yes, we have an organization that is going through some challenges, and we are relying on our district leaders and club leaders to help us solve that by getting and retaining more members. But you get to keep your job if you're working out in the corporate world. You get to keep your job independent of how you do in Toastmasters. I should hope that you get to keep your spouse or significant other regardless of what goes on in Toastmasters. It's relatively low stakes, so it's a great place to try new things and succeed, or figure out what went wrong and fix it. Toastmasters gives you the opportunity to learn those critical skills to create a better version of yourself. I am sure that I would not be who I am today, what I am today, if it were not for Toastmasters allowing to make a lot of mistakes and try and help me fix them in myself. And if you look at yourself and how you may have grown, and I'm sure you all have, but take 10 minutes. I didn't say an hour or an afternoon or a day. Take 10 minutes, set it aside for you, and reflect on where you were when you started Toastmasters and where you are today, and the meaningful change that has happened to you. It may be small, but do you have a close friend in Toastmasters? Ask them what they think, how you've grown. And that's usually that external view is what you need, because, us inside of our heads, right? We're looking out and we see each other every day, all day. We don't see incremental change, as well as some of our friends and family do, saying, you know what? You're different. You have changed. And so be ready to take a little bit of time to figure out, how have I changed? I hope it's changed for the better. But how have you changed? Ask that question. One of the biggest challenges that, and I've been in Toastmasters for 20 years, if you did the math. No, he just told you 20 years. That I continue to struggle with is that I have a Toastmasters persona, have a work persona, and I have a friends and possibly family persona. 3 to 4 different personas. Do any of you have that? Like, I'm in Toastmaster mode. You probably heard that before. No, Pamela says, no, better than that. Cool, Pamela, you're better than me. And you knew that. But there are other people, some of us, I see VJs at least saying yes. Thank goodness for VJ. We have those personas that we kind of, this is this. And I tell you, we have to stop that. We have to stop that. We have to start saying that there's a Toastmaster part of my life and believe that Toastmasters is a part of us that we take in other places. That's mind-blowing for some of us. Really? I don't just have a Toastmaster self. I am a Toastmaster? Yes. Bring that Toastmaster persona to your other parts of your life. So let's talk about that a little bit. Active listening, basic stuff. The counter, the grammarian. You're like, really? Basic stuff. If you've been a Toastmaster for any period of time, you've started picking up in the ums and ahs of other people. It's just going to happen. And after you stay in long enough, it starts to grate on your nerves. Just me, maybe not you. Maybe it's just me. But that realization, it makes you self-aware, doesn't it? It makes you self-aware of when you're doing it. And as you're giving those speeches, you start from the ums and the ahs, and then you start noticing as they come out of your mouth. And eventually you start hearing them on the way to your mouth, and you stop them and you pause, and then they just get filtered out. It's a progress, but that makes you more easy to contain, or sorry, to contain, easier to understand. And you know what really draws that out, that stark change between you, what how you've grown, is when you're in a corporate presentation and you've been asked to give a presentation for 5 minutes, and they're going down the line of, you give a presentation, then you give a presentation, and then you come up, there are no ums and ahs, and then people see you after, like, how do you do that? People latch onto your message faster. You're more believable, more understandable, because it's clearer. Just the and ah counter. Table topics. You've heard about the wonders of table topics for years, but lean into that. When people ask you, what's the status of this project? You get this all the time. What's going on? How are things going with your dad? I heard that, dad isn't doing well. Well, that was my mom. She's not doing well. And you say, yeah, well, you over time, doing enough table topics, you'll say, my mom's been through some challenges. Here's how things are going. These are the things that she's working through right now. But on the whole, it just starts happening. It just starts happening. And that is the key. It's, you don't think about it. But again, you invest your time into these things. And I talk about this more on the leadership side, but you invest your time in these things that seem like not useful or minimally useful, but you will incorporate them into your day-to-day at your job. Thank you for nodding, Pam. I know you've seen this. What if we do something new with it? What if we try something new? Again, one of the things that I'm trying to learn, I don't know if any of you beat your head against this wall, is I've become a golfer, and I'm sorry, but I've become a golfer, and I'm trying to do drills, right? Drills where you do the thing, and there's all these drills. And let me tell you, they're so boring. They're so boring and seem so useless, but they work if you put the time in. Toastmasters is like that, except I hope it's not so boring or useless feeling, because you do it with other people. We do it together. It's okay. Golf drills would probably be like that too. So keep that in mind as you're doing these tasks, these things in Toastmasters in your club meeting, that it works. When you're going through pathways, some of the things that you learn about are, creating persuasive communication, mastering your personal style. I got to tell you, over the past probably 2 years, I've used Toastmasters as I've gotten to be a senior director at HPP, but I've also, and I blame Toastmasters for this, I was elected vice commodore of my local yacht club. Please don't think yachts are like 50-something foot things and we've got shiny with crew. It's not like that. We just call it a yacht club because we got boats. That's it. Little boats too. But the number 2 in command, I blame Toastmasters for getting sucked into that. But when I give presentations about complex things, in Harvard Business Publishing, I was doing a migration from Box to OneDrive. If you're familiar with that, it's basically moving a lot of files from one software as a service provider to a different one from a third party like Microsoft. And I said, yeah, we were moving about 170 terabytes worth of data and 31 million files. And to most non-technical people, they're like, I don't know what that means. So I said, well, as far as data is concerned, imagine checking out most of the Library of Congress and reading it over the course of 10 months. You're like, what? And yes, so now people have a sense of what's going on. When we released a great article for one of our HBR products, and it caused a surge of traffic to our website. I said, this is equivalent to sitting down and getting a bowl of popcorn, sitting down on your couch one day and deciding to watch Netflix for 1 year nonstop, 24 hours a day. That level of data is what we saw show up over the course of a 48-hour period. And they're like, wow. I'm like, oh yeah, in 4K too, in 4K. None of this, 4K. Like, wow, that's a lot. And again, it's putting things in ways that people can understand. The last one was for the yacht club. We were doing a budget for them, or I was helping with them with a budget. They said, Stefano, figure out our electrical costs and how we can start recouping some of that, because we had a lot. And I pulled down copies of the bill and looked at how much we were using over the course of months. And a couple months last year, I think it was January and February, it was very cold here in New England, colder than normal. And we have these devices in the water that kind of move water around so that it doesn't freeze. They call them ice eaters. Yeah. And they use a lot of electricity. In fact, those 2 months, we used 3 megawatts of electricity a day on average. But what's a megawatt? And I said, well, guys, you guys all have homes, right? I said, a megawatt is essentially allows me to power 30 homes for a month. I said, so 3 megawatts allows me to run 100 homes for a month. We were using that electricity in a day. And they said, wow. I would not have done that without Toastmasters, because I've learned in Toastmasters, there are people from different walks of life, different experiences, and you have to put things in concepts that folks can understand. Because we do this all the time, right? We have the work presentation that, okay, can I give this at Toastmasters? And then they'll start talking and using all this lingo that we never heard of because they're in legal or they're in medical. And I'm like, no, you got to use words that the general people can understand and give them things to, right? That's a skill that you learn in Toastmasters that you bring right over. Don't forget about these things. Toastmasters is a leadership gym to me. And I got to explain that to you. I'm guessing all of you are wonderful lovers of pathways. You darn well should be. And you've made it to the point where you've done the my leadership style thing near the end of the yeah. And if you know me a little bit, you're probably not surprised to learn that I'm really good into consensus building and trying to lead people with agreement, things like that. And to be fair, right, when you read about those skills, it probably makes your heart a little warmer and you're like, oh yeah, those are the right skills, right? Because those are the warm and fuzzy things. And then there's that directive skill, which is you're going to do this job because I told you to. And you're like, those are the bad leadership skills. Wrong. A number of years ago, when I was leading my team, I had my boss come to me and he said, hey, we have to change how we're doing our backups. We need to back up our data a different way to a different place, whatever. We're changing a process for those that are not aware. We're going to do it differently. And he said this to me. He says, you need to do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went back to my team. It made sense to me. Went back to my team and I said, look, we got a directive. We need to change how we're doing this process. If we're not backing it up this way, we're backing it up that way. And most of the team did what they usually say, which is, okay. But one of the senior guys on the team was like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. That's dumb. Like, why would you do it that way? I said, remember what I told you? I said, oh, I need to get this guy on board. Well, let's sit down and talk to him about it. And I said, so tell me, what is it that makes you not like this decision? And he says, well, because it's just dumb. Like, why would you do it this way? You would do it this way. And I said, well, that's because the boss asked us. There are other extenuating circumstances. It's like, this is really something that I need you to be a part of to help, spearhead, because this is a big deal for us. He's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, huh. Okay. That didn't work. So, well, maybe I need to do it, be a more of a consensus builder. So I brought the team together and explained it to the team with him there and said, this is how we're going to do it. And he's like, no, not doing that. I don't understand. My Toastmasters training told me these are good skills and they don't work. And then I said, dude, just do it. Why? Because I said so. And it needs to get done. Just do it. And you know what? He just did it. And I felt really bad about that. It kind of hurt me a little bit. Like, oh, I don't like that. But then I realized there are no good leadership skills or bad leadership skills that are discussed. There are leadership skills for the right situation, for the right people. And I didn't realize that. And, I just told you when I did that directive leadership, It felt bad. Have you ever gone to a gym before? Have you ever, if especially this time of year, January, New Year resolution, whatever, I won't pick on anybody's, it's pretty common, right? And you go and you say you're going to go do exercise of some sort. You're going to do, what is it, upper body, lower body, whatever. And chances are you're going to do some sort of exercise that is going to hurt, right? The next day, because I don't usually use those muscles, right? And you're like, oh, I mean, there's some muscles, maybe you're like, I could do this. This is okay, but some muscles really hurt, just like some leadership styles. Toastmasters is a leadership gym. All of those different leadership styles you need to exercise. That doesn't mean you go after Samir and just start saying, you gotta do this thing. No, that's probably not appropriate. But in some cases, I like to say, usually when you're at the conference and something's about to go off the rails and something needs to happen in the next 2 minutes, directive makes sense. Usually it's more tactical. It's not time to build consensus. It's time to just get it done. It might be the wrong answer, but we just got to go. So let's go do it. That was a revelation to me. And so Toastmasters is a place where you can practice that in event planning, where you can try to bring people together, team coordination, time management, getting people along on the same page. That's using those different leadership skills to figure out how to build and make things work. Feedback in Toastmasters. That's one of the first things that we learn, right? We try to say, I mean, I've had people come in after a experienced speaker, a DTM, right? And we'll be looking for an evaluator for them. We have somebody come in, it's like their third meeting. I was like, hey, why don't you be their evaluator? And they're like, I don't know anything about that. I said, no, it's easy. I said, just go talk to the DTM and ask them what they want you to look for. They've just given you license to tell them what's wrong in this area. So you're good. And then even though you may not be a super duper Toastmasters, you're still a human being with ears and a brain. You have a perspective. Share that perspective because this DTM wants to hear it. So don't worry about that. But how do you make that work in Toastmasters, right? We talk about the sandwich method. When I was, messing around with AI earlier, it called it the CRC method, which was commend, recommend, and commend, which I thought was cute. I'd never heard that one before. Again, probably about 10 years ago, and I was working as a manager at one of the previous companies I was with. I had this team of 8 people, and I love these guys. I built up a great relationship for them. I probably shouldn't as a manager, but I loved them. They were great. They did great work. And the company that I was working with, they were kind of on the slide and they weren't doing well. They were having layoffs, but we managed to, dodge all the layoffs. We did pretty well. But this time, didn't dodge the layoffs. And I had a team of 8 and I had to lay off 7. Like, what? How's that going to work? But I had to lay off 7 out of the 8 people on my team. And I was told, here's the good news, right? Review time was coming. The good news was that HR said, hey, guess what? Since we're laying them off, you don't have to do their reviews. Oh, yay. You saved me from so much badness, right? But here's the thing is I never liked the review process. It was super convoluted, asked really weird questions. If you've worked in the corporate world, there's very few review processes that look like they make any sense. They look more like box checking exercises. But so now I'm laying off 7 people, don't have to do the reviews. I said, I don't say this often, folks. This was a stroke of genius on my part. I don't have too many of those. I said, you know what? I'm going to give them Toastmaster reviews this year. And so I threw out the corporate blah, 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 because I didn't have to do it. And I sat each of them down and I said, here's what you did well over the past year. You came up, you solved this problem, you helped get this problem to solution. This is how it affects the organization and made it better and made it climb to bigger heights. And you demonstrated this to your teammates. Here's where you felt short. Here's some examples of things that I wish that had happened differently. and here's how it negatively impacted the organization. And here's what I'm going to do, in a 90-10 kind of way. I'm the 10, you're the 90. In the 90-10 kind of way to help you get to the next level. Maybe there's some training, or maybe there's more that we can talk about on our one-on-ones going forward to help coach you into getting to a better place. And then I ended with, these are a couple other things that I want to bring to your attention that went really well, and why I think that this is something that you should continue doing. Kind of a little stop, start, continue thing going on there. So I added all this in. All of them said, I've never received a review like this before. I feel like energized, like I know exactly what I need to do, and I know what to continue doing to keep you happy and why it matters to the organization. What is so hard about that? But yet they loved it. And they said, we want reviews like this, like again. And I said, yeah, well, and people used to ask me this when I told the story. They're like, well, did you still lay them off? I'm like, well, yeah, that wasn't in my wheelhouse. I had to lay them off. But each of them knew that I didn't have to do their review, and they were very appreciative and loved the fact that I spent the time to do it anyway, and we parted ways on very good terms. They didn't look at me and say, oh, he was part of the problem. Like, no, he spent the time to do it. Toastmasters evaluations work, folks. Spend the time to do. We didn't just invent this. The organization just come out of nowhere. This organization's been around. Here we are, 100 years. We've kind of refined this. It works pretty well. One of the last things I want to call up was project execution, being a club officer. You could just say that you just fill in a square. I know what it's like. Come on, guys. One of the speeches I probably did 2 years ago with Samir is I talked about when I was first a club officer, and how club officers sometimes feel like a chore, like taking out the garbage or doing the dishes, because nobody really wants to do it, but you have to do it. That's what it feels like sometimes. But you have so much opportunity there, because if you look at your own life and where you've gotten to, and you realize that the only reason that you got there was because there was a club with people in it and a culture that helped you get there, all of a sudden you're not square filling, you're changing lives. I know that's so cliche, right? But it's true. It's true. If that club, think about your own club. Think about the people in your own club right now, and maybe a couple of them that have grown significantly. You have a hand in that. Every meeting that goes, every time somebody schedules a location, and if you're a good Toastmaster, somebody's bringing food, but it's okay if you don't. If you're bringing food, if you're making sure the location is available, if somebody's printing out agendas, if you're doing, oh, this is so boring. If you didn't, lives would not be changed. That's what it comes down to. The stuff that you do, organizing, planning, now it's speech contest time, and you're trying to find those judges, and can I get somebody from another club, and I want to do it online. Well, we can't do it online. And you have to find solutions to make it work. That's leadership, is trying to figure out how you're going to get around these things. And you do it, and you're like, oh, I'm so glad that contest is over. But somebody won. And it may well be somebody that didn't ever think they would win a speech contest in their lives. And now they're going to the area or the division or the district, and they never thought they would win anything. And now they're thinking, what else can I do that I didn't think I could do before? And it's all because of Toastmasters. This is what it's about, being a club officer, being a club leader, and you transfer those skills to your regular job. What are you doing if you're in leadership at your job? What are you doing to help others grow? Most decent people, some caveats in there, would appreciate the work that you put into their success. 100%. When you're committed to their success, you help them grow. It helps you. the best team leaders out there are committed to their people's success. Because I mean, I know that I tell my guys that on my team. I said when I started there, I was a senior manager and I've got promoted twice. And I took them out to dinner or out to lunch in December. Yeah, December for Thanksgiving to say, I give thanks for you guys. The reason that I'm successful is because you guys are awesome. You guys take down problems, fix them, make them better. I don't do the work. I do other things, but that's what gets evaluated is the fact that you guys do the work. And that's a great club officer is understanding that 7 club officers don't make a club distinguished. Well, they shouldn't be, but the members make the club distinguished. And they don't do that stuff unless you're prodding them with, hey, you haven't given a speech in a little while. Hey, do you need some help working on that next speech? Hey, we haven't seen you in a few meetings. Can you come in? Seemingly boring, mundane things turn into amazing things. So, I've given you some examples of how you can take the stuff that you do in Toastmasters and use it someplace else. One of my past, I think it was my district governor when I entered as Lieutenant Governor Marketing, for all you veterans out there, Lieutenant Governor Marketing, he used to say, nobody gives speeches at Toastmasters to learn to give speeches at Toastmasters. You are supposed to bring the information, the skills out into your corporate job, into your personal life, and be better. When I was finished with my first round as district governor, I went to convention and I was going to be an international director. Yes, Pam. I was going to be an international director. And somebody, I wish I could track him down, some international director at the time said, really, Stefano, that sounds great. But what have you learned about being a district governor? And I said, well, how to work with people and that you can't always get your way. And just because you're in charge doesn't mean you call all the shots. And he's like, that sounds great. Why don't you go out into your regular job, take what you've learned being a district director, and learn how to apply those skills in the corporate world, and then come back and see us. Oh, man, he was right. Oh, my goodness. But using those Toastmaster skills in your day-to-day really colors how you operate as a person. Remember, not your Toastmasters persona, the core of your Toastmasters, the core of your being of a Toastmasters. You can speak anywhere. You can lead anywhere. If nobody's watching, it doesn't really matter. But in Toastmasters, you actually get feedback from people who are helping you be better because you're helping them be better. That's my call to action for you, is think about what you've learned in Toastmasters. Take one thing and start on Monday. Start on Monday to bring it into your Toastmasters, your core self, and make it part of who you are, not your Toastmasters persona, who you are. Make it a core to your person. Because if you can do that, you truly unlock the full potential of who you can be. Because Toastmasters has made you a wonderful Toastmaster, but it's time for it to become a wonderful you. Samir, back to you.
Thank you so much, Stefano. Let us give a huge round of applause to our president-elect. Now it's the time when we go ahead and open up for question and answers. Please type your question in the chat and then we will call you upon. There are some questions, Stefano, which we received as part of the registration process. So thank you again for this awesome message. I will go ahead and share that question in the chat as well as read it out loud. The question is, how do you grow your leadership further on your journey? What you do to ensure your growth continues? Any recommendations as books and podcast? So that was one of the question.
So it's what do I do or what should you do?
Yeah, how I think it means that person how they can grow their leadership further on their journey and
It's continue to be a part of district leadership and apply what you've learned, the mistakes you've made, and the things that you've learned into Toastmasters and your core being so that you use it in your regular life. I did just one of my call or not my calls, one of my, what did I used to say there? One of the things that I used to differentiate myself when I was running for international director is that I was a member of district leadership for 10 years in a row. And they're like, really? I said, yeah. I did area director, division director, 3 years in the trio, then immediate past, then program quality, then district director, and then immediate past, all in a row. And they said, well, what did you learn? I'm like, yeah, you learn that you can't please everybody, that you don't win and you can't expect to win every argument. And sometimes you need to bend. What did I learn? That was a great, I can't remember what it was. Something, be like the bamboo. That's what I learned in my pit stop in Tokyo on the way back from a trip. Be like the bamboo and bend occasionally, but always, return to your core. You learn so much. And so if you're saying, how do I continue to grow? Take more roles, continue to challenge yourself, get feedback. I want to say find a mentor, but it feels like in Toastmasters, it's cliche. Oh, get a mentor. No, okay, forget that. Find someone that you can talk to that can evaluate your progress as you go, that is a trusted confidant that you can be real with. We won't call them a mentor, but find that person that can look at you, that you can bounce ideas off of and say, I'm thinking about doing this. I want to do this. And they might say, ooh, that doesn't sound like it's going to go well, but maybe if you tweak it, it might work well. That kind of thing. I think that's how you continue your leadership growth. Is we're always looking for leaders in Toastmasters, and they need not be perfect, but they need to be like you and be asking, how do I get better? Those are the best Toastmasters we can get. It's the ones that actually take the rules and ask, how can I be better? So that's what I'd
Thank you. And one more question is, any recommendation on leadership books or podcasts?
recommend. So I have to tell you a secret. I hate reading. I, I'm trying to think of some interesting books that I've read. Oh, you know what? The Simon Sinek books about the book about why we do things, why, what is the why behind things. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was forced to read that under duress, and it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. I did enjoy it. A book that isn't, yeah, I won't bother with that one, as that's more for bored people. But that was probably one that I would point to is that. And I have to remember, I can't remember who that guy was. Now I have to go back and look it up. But we'll stick with Simon Sinek. The stuff that I've read is kind of interesting, thought provoking. You can't always do it. It seems like it's way up here for me, but it's something to aspire to. And I think that's what leaders look for, right? Is what is the next thing? I try when I'm looking, I try to find those people that are at the leading edge of how to lead, that are thinking about things differently, because we have a long pile of information that says this is how leadership works, and most of it is still valid, but people have changed, especially over the last like 10 years or so. People have changed a lot, and their motivations are different, and what they care about is different. And while the base of figure out what motivates them and how to get what they motivate to do, how do you motivate them to do the things you want to do, is still okay. The how has changed. That's what I always look for, is the basics. The foundation of leadership is the same, and it probably always will be. You know why? Because it's people. It's people interacting with people, and those have been around for a few thousand years. However, our drivers, our factors, our life factors have changed, and that's where that's what I look for, is how do we deal with continuous improvement? What does feedback look like in 2026 versus 19 75. What it has changed. So what do we do with that? That's what I would suggest. But if you need a book, Simon Sinek's always a great place to look at. You guys probably have better ideas than me. I hate reading.
Thank you. Vijay has a question. Vijay, can you come off mute and share your question, please?
Absolutely. Great session, Stefano. One of the questions I have was being in Toastmasters and also having a full-time job in a corporate. It is challenging, the time management and being in a district, officer role. It's a time challenging. So what recommendations, how do you manage time with the limited time you have?
Uh, Before I answer your question, VJ, shout out to Sarah. What's up? Nice to see you, Sarah. Um, wow. I get told that I have too many hobbies, and I do. I do have too many hobbies. One of I've been asked this before, and here's what I've come up with, VJ. I hope it works for you. There are two critical things that I had to do before I got very deeply into like board stuff. And one was to get buy-in from my wife, number one. She had to be behind this. I've seen too many of my colleagues in Toastmasters that just go off and do the Toastmaster thing, and their marriage or whatever relationship they had starts to fall apart. And I look at them and I'm like, you are no good to me if you lose your significant other. No good, because you're going to be busy doing something else instead of helping the district. So you need to make sure that you make time for that. So that's buy-in number one. Buy-in number two is my job. When I was elected international director, I was at Harvard, and my boss at the time, he was like, "Oh, it's really interesting." He's like, "Oh, you're on the board of directors?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like a legit organization." We had at the time like a $40 million budget and 200. Well, it was getting close to 300,000 members, and he's like, "Really? You?" I'm like, "Yep, that's true. I know." He supported that. Then when I ran for second vice president the first time, if you were around for that hot mess, that experience, it didn't go well for me the first time. And I remember coming back to work after convention, and he's like, "So how did it go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it didn't go well. Didn't go well. And I'm not sure that I want to do that again." And he says, "Oh no." He says, "You're doing that again." He says, "I'm going to work with you, and we're going to figure out what Harvard can do to get you there." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I know what you need." He says, "You need more strategy in your day to day." He's like, "What?" He's like, "I'm going to pull you into some more meetings. It's like, we're going to get you looking at what the future of this organization is. And we're going to get you talking strategies, because that, I think, is going to be what gets you to the next level." Boss doesn't have to do that. And so this is an extreme version of that. But he looked at the time that I was spending in Toastmasters as free training, right? Because I have to go to mid-year trainings. I was just in Malaysia last month, go to convention and go to training with some of you, go to a mid-year board meeting, also visit districts. All of these things he viewed as free training. He says, you're going to interact with people. You've got to listen to their problems. You're going to learn how to smooth them over and deliver presentations that I want you doing here as well. He says, all I have to do is give you time off. They pay for the food. They pay for the time. They pay for everything. I just have to give you time off. So having an employer that views your time in Toastmasters as free training that they don't even have to pay for is huge. So pitch it that way when you're looking to do things like this is actually free training that you guys don't have to deal with. But the last thing that I would say is that you must have balance, and you must have limits, and you must be able to say no. Even as the international president-elect, I just this week I had to say, I can't do that. Now is not a good time. We need to change the rules of how we do these things, because a full-time guy that needs to catch up on his work, that was just away for a few weeks for Toastmasters, we got to give back. Yeah, I got to get back some time. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll figure this out. So yeah, we've had some full-time folks on occasion come through the board, but I guess I've been maybe one of the more demanding ones. Like, look, guys, I I got to go to work. I got to make sure I get my mortgage. You got to pay for this stuff. And that's another understanding is I find folks on my team that are putting Toastmasters before their full-time day-to-day. No, you need to make money so you can pay your mortgage, so you can pay for your car, so you can pay for your health care, all of those things. So that's what I would suggest is you have to have buy-in from your critical constituencies, #leadership, have buy-in from the critical constituencies, but also make sure that you share time and say no. And that doesn't mean say no to Samir. Can't say no to Samir, but say no when it makes sense to say no and say, you know what, this is getting to be a bit much. It's affecting my sleep. It's affecting whatever. Get help. Ask for help early. Say, hey, this isn't going to work. Can we move this? You'd be surprised at how flexible people are if you just ask before it's an emergency. Be that your significant other, be that Toastmasters, be that your work. As long as you ask ahead of time, I see that I got a conflict here. Can I work with you to make this work? Most of the time, people say, oh, sure. But if you ask them, 12 hours ahead, what's wrong with you? So that would be what I'd suggest. Again, critical constituencies are bought in, that you do make time, like some weeks, like that time I spent with Toastmasters in Malaysia, that was 95% Toastmasters time, and a couple percent for the spouse and a couple percent for work. But then it flips around. Some weekends are 100% spouse time. No questions asked. Oh, but we want to schedule you. If you've worked with me before, Friday evenings, no go. I don't do anything else on Friday evenings other than date night. Has to be date night. Cannot be anything else. And that makes sure that you have balance. Carve out the time. Maybe Sunday evenings are Toastmaster time. Okay. But carve it out. Be respectful of your constituencies, work, significant other, Toastmasters.
Yeah, thank you.
Way longer than you needed, but you got it.
Thank you, Stefano. Next question we have got from Keith Still. Keith, can you please come off mute and share your question?
I'll confess this is more of a personal curiosity, but in the introduction, it mentioned that you had experience in the Air National Guard. And I'm just wondering if you've been able to apply any of the Toastmasters principles in the military environment.
Yeah. So I served 21 years in the Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard. I got out in 2019, just before I joined the board of directors. And stuff from, stuff from Toastmasters to the Guard. I think 2018, we had a opportunity where, if you remember the news at the time, and it's a stretch for some of you that don't pay attention to the news, bless your hearts. Around that time, there was a lot of concern around sexual violence in the military. And so the military had a series of down days that they call, where they wanted to focus on training for that, and it was called bystander training. If you're in the proximity of something that's going bad, what do you do? And Toastmasters gave me the confidence to apply to say, hey, I would like to lead some of the presentations on this. I would not ordinarily have the confidence to stand in front of a room of 800 people and talk about sexual violence. Are you kidding me? There is no way. But with Toastmasters, I'm like, okay, I've done this, not on this subject, but I've talked to people about a range of subjects. And so myself and a few other folks, I found ways to add humor. I found ways to be somber. I found ways to go out into the audience and look people in the eye and say, what do you think is the right thing to do here? And people were just like, who is this guy? And I'm like, I'm a Toastmaster. I said, this is what I do. So that is, I think, the biggest, I would probably say that was probably the high point of taking Toastmaster skills into the military, was being able to take all the things that you see great Toastmasters do and bring it to a military audience. And they're just, wow, they're not ready for that. That's not how military people talk. It's just not. So yeah, I would say that was the biggest thing for me.
Thank you. We have got next question from Jeff Young. Jeff, can you please come off mute and share your question?
Stefano,
Hey,
what's a good way to get out in front of strangers who aren't a captive audience? A challenge to club growth directors is the cold call. How can leadership help us keep them talking and listening when they're perfect strangers to us and don't need to give us 10 seconds or 30?
ooh, wow. It's a tough one. I feel like it has to be in your face. In today's world, right? There in the old days, we would say, "Oh, you know, it'd be wonderful if we could get some time on your calendar to talk about the virtues of Toastmasters and how it can help develop your employees." To, I would say that getting people's attention is, are your employees at presentations? Probably not very good, are they? What are you saying? What if I told you there was a solution that cost you $60? Interested? And it's not just a fly-by-night organization. We've been around for 100 years doing this for people around the world in 140 countries. It could be yours for just $1,000 overall. Better presenters, 6 months, almost guaranteed. Let me know.
I like
it has
all
to
the-
be. You have to drive right at what is the need, and hit him in the face with it. Because beating around the bush and building a case, I don't have time to, like you said, I don't have time to listen to you. Who are you? Why are you still talking to me? So it's right in your face. How are your employees are giving presentations, setting up meetings? Too many meetings, huh? All over the road. Yeah, wish there was a solution for that. There is. It's Toastmasters. Interested? Love to tell you more.
Thank you.
It's seconds, but you have to hit, for lack of better words, Jeff, hit him in the face. Because I mean, I don't have time. None of us do anymore, it seems, or nobody wants. That's not fair. We don't want to take the time. That's probably a better statement. We don't want to take the time anymore. And so you have to hit them fast and hit them hard. And they may be like, whoa, what are you talking about? Now you got them. Oh, you want to sit down and talk some more? Yeah, how about make it small? 5 minutes, 15 minutes? Yeah, 50. And be particular about that 5 or 15 minutes. It's inside, never over unless they start talking, right? Just like those, if you've ever been on a job interview and they schedule you for, 15 minutes or half an hour and it goes long and you're like, yep, got them. And if it ends early, you're like, oops, that didn't go well. Hey, I've been there. So that's it. Keep it tight. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever they say. Have it here's what I'm going to fling at you. This is the thing we're talking about. And you can even be, again, if you want to be a little bit more particular about that, you could send them some notes, but try not to. Because our strength is in the pitch. It's the speaking skills. If you send them a slide with words on it, and they're like, this isn't for me. Yeah, because that's not what we do. It has to be the words and getting your proof across. I mean, and that's something you could throw in at the end too, is if it's 5 minutes, it's like, I just talked to you for 5 minutes and I'm pretty sure you know everything you need to know. That's what our people do. It has to, again, this is my opinion, #opinion. That's my opinions. You got to hit them fast.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
What is that meme used to say? Ain't nobody got time for that.
Thank you. We have got next question from our past district director, Maria. Maria, could you please come off mute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. My camera doesn't work on this computer, so I'm on a different computer. But so, Stefano, what are your thoughts around speaking to younger people about the benefits of Toastmasters? It's sometimes really hard to translate. As we grow older, I feel like we're more mature and we understand, hey, this is going to be important for me for the rest of my life. But when you're that young person, how do you talk to them about that? What are your thoughts? How do you approach it?
It's similar to what we just talked about, which is you got to hit them fast with something that means something to them. We have in our lifetimes, or at least my Toastmaster lifetime, we talk about, well, if you get into Toastmasters, it's going to help you with, delivering speeches and organizing meetings and come on, something there. Tell me what you're going to do for me today. And that is get you a job. Do you want to differentiate? You're going to be, if you're a college person, do you want to be at the top of the list for the next time you go for an interview? Join Toastmasters. Within 6 months, maybe one more renewal, 12 months, you will be at the top of the pile because no one will be able to express themselves, hit the points that the person looking for is going to be looking for. You will be at the top of the pile instantly because none of them are in Toastmasters, but you could be. So it's getting that first job. It's negotiating that first raise if they wanted to, or something that, well, I mean, that's later on, but negotiating why I need more vacation time. Oh, we only offer 2 weeks. Yeah, that's not going to work. Let me tell you how this is going to go down. 2 weeks. But that was later on. But again, I think it's what are they looking for? What do they need? Maybe it's going to be a new job. Sometimes I wonder if social skills, I mean, oh, wow. You got to wonder, could we pitch that it might help with getting a new relationship? Being able to be better spoken, a little bit more open with your conversation, a better listener. Wow, I don't think we've tried that. That's got to have value. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I think about is if I could think back and say, okay, I'm like my son. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about my job, new relationships, having fun with my friends, and maybe travel. Okay, how do I pitch that? It's like, oh, maybe if we talk about travel ideas, maybe if we talk about how to find other people, what are they looking for? Interpersonal communications. Don't use big words, but like, hey, how do you get that first date? I mean, it has to be something I need now. I think that's the way that we have to pitch it. And I mean, that's how you have to look at it. And I didn't look at it that way back then, but it's got to be quick. It's got to be, I need it now. And the other thing I'd add is what's the time frame? Is when do I get these things? And if somebody's going to ask about corporate clubs and how to sell this, it's the same thing is what am I going to get and when am I going to get it? It can't be like we used to be like, oh, just join Toastmasters. You'll get these skills, period. When do I get it? When do I get better? 6 months, maybe 12 months. If you take the program and you are a part of the program, 6 months, you will see results that you won't believe. 12 months, you'll be a different person. I don't think that's a wild statement.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, Maria.
Yeah, thank you again, Maria. We'll take the one last question from our division director, Shelly Bellflower. Shelly, can you please come off mute and share your question?
Sure. Hi, Stefano. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
I wrote a really long one in the chat. It just kept going on, and I was like, I'm just going to submit it so I can talk about my thoughts. Continuous improvement. We know in technology it's really important. You reiterate, you build, you learn from your mistakes, go on. One of the things I'm finding in clubs right now, especially in our district, is we can't always turn prospective members into members because a lot of our clubs are meeting online. We can't always retain members for various reasons as well. And so we're at this double-edged sword of lots of small clubs, and we want to be able to focus on building that growth. What are some ideas or some things you can give us information-wise that maybe would help us in this environment today in the world? I, as a division director, I get people that ask me questions and I'm like, and you know what, if our club meeting doesn't help you, I can tell you about 5 other clubs that will help you. I'll pass that information off, but I feel like it's a handoff. It's not necessarily I see it through to the end and know it translates that they show up because I may not be members of those clubs. So what are some suggestions or thoughts you have around what we can do to meet members where they're at? Are we okay to still have online meetings? Hybrid I think works best, but it's just not always feasible for all the clubs. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about that.
Oh, Shelley, that's as my son used to say when he was a toddler, that's complicated. Complicated. Wow. So yeah, online clubs aren't going away. Stefano's opinion is in person is truly the holy grail of the Toastmasters experience, where you can see the people walk out into the audience and put your hand on their shoulder, if that's cool. Be like, hey, what do you think about that? What do you think? You can't do that in video. I mean, I'd like to, but I can't. It doesn't work. So yeah, hybrid is good if you have a high-tech solution. Please don't be the club that has like a laptop computer in the front with like, you know, a really scratchy microphone, and like that is not what we're about. You can't be doing that. But if you've got a library, some sort of corporate location that's got the nice, yeah, it's pretty good. It works out pretty well. And you know, I definitely endorse that. As far as what we need to do, I don't know, this might help you. My club has been around. It's the first club I joined, still been a member of the same club. So been a member of this club for 20 years. Been President's Distinguished sometimes select, occasionally distinguished, but usually somewhere in there. We're doing okay. But our numbers bounce between, I think the lowest was probably like 16, 15, up to like 22. And every year, it never gets bigger. It always just bounces around. And you're like, well, you know, people come, people go. And then last year, the board came up with what was Smedley Distinguished Club. Yeah. And so now you have to hit all 10 points and you have to get to 25 members. And I sat down with I'm the club treasurer. I sat down with my club and we were talking about, you know, what should we do this year? Like, we should be able to be presidents. And I said, why can't we be Smedley the first year that it's available? And they're like, well, you know, we never really get that high. And I says, you know why? And I says, and I say this as a member of this club for a long time, because we're lazy. It's because we're lazy, and we're not the only club that's lazy. And when I say lazy, I mean that we get new members, they join, and then we're done with them. Like, we expect them to just start pathways, get in a path, and just go. And they languish and they leave. And I said, if we weren't lazy, I said, this is me included, friends, we would spend times with new members, get them into the program and work them through a few things. We would contact them, say, hi, Regina, it's so nice to see you. And, you know, we can't wait to see you at the next one. Hey, Regina, do you golf? Because some of us are actually going golfing now. And you're creating connections. This takes work. Somebody calling and saying, Sarah, I haven't seen you at a meeting recently. You know, is something going on? Is there something we can do? How can we help? Can we get you on the agenda for the next meeting? Oh, it takes work. That's what you need to do. We used to do that. And now it's too much work. It's not if you want to grow your club. Getting the member is one thing. Keeping them should be simple. Just have them be a part of your club. Have them interact with people. Show them that you want to support them in what they want to get done. This takes personal interaction, personal time. Not really a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it takes time to build an organization full of human beings that want to be there. So again, and I tell that story because it's my club too. We're lazy. We're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. You know, you should just want to be here. The rest of us just want to be here because they were made a part of the family. And then people stay. Then you can coast when you've got, say, Pamela McCown. You're like, yeah, she's on it. She is self-supporting at this point. It's good. But most, especially new members, are not. And they need that, oh, I care about you guys. I care about what you're doing. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is you have to treat every member like a treasure, and not a treasurer, but a treasure, a gift that you have the opportunity to change their life. And you need to put in a little bit of water, a little bit of fertilizer, a couple times a month or so, maybe once a month, just to keep them growing. Because if you leave them, they're going to die. They're going to die. They're going to leave. So yeah, maybe I should say that. They're going to leave. They're not going to die. They're going to leave. So that's the best I can tell you, Shelley, is that we as a collective have to stop being lazy and invest just a little bit of time in every new member and every mid-level member to let them know that we care about them, that we're there for their growth, and maybe even give them a soft kick in the backside. We're like, hey, you haven't given a speech in like 3 or 4 months. Let's go. Let's get you on there. It's as simple and as complicated as that.
Well, I like that you use the word we, because in some clubs it's the membership VP, or it's one person that kind of gets tasked with all of that, not the whole group. So yeah, it's got to be we, as in all the club members helping
Right
to do
on,
that.
Shelley. Like
So,
it is our club.
right.
And part of the goal is to make it feel like our club, not the officers club. I mean, that's going to be, I'll probably talk about that as a international president, and definitely as a Commodore of the yacht club, which is, I'm just here to lead it. It's not my job to do everything. It's
Right.
our job to do everything. Thank goodness we have all of you to be a
Right.
part of this. So yeah, right on, Shelley.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are almost at the hour, so I thank all of you for joining these sessions. We would definitely appreciate your feedback for this session. A link will be sent along with this meeting recording to all of you. Please take some time to share your feedback so that we can incorporate those one into the next Leadership Lab sessions. The next sessions will be again in first week of April. And on behalf of the entire District 15 leadership, again, I thank our awesome leader, Stefano Maggi. We know that you had a very busy schedule. You basically juggled up your schedule so that you could be here and inspire us with your insights and sharing all these pearls with us. So thank you so much. Any additional comments you would like to share with this team?
Thank you to Samir and the rest of your team for inviting me. When I saw that it was District 15, I said, yeah, I have to see what I can do to make this work, mostly because Sarah and Samir and Candy did such a wonderful job of taking care of me when I was there 2 years ago. I had to make sure I paid them back. So it's a pleasure for me to be here to speak to any of our members and just share a little love, because I know that the fact that you're here in this meeting probably means that you're probably in like the top 10 to 20% of our members. That's a fact. It's a fact. You're probably some of the best members of our organization just because you're here, not because I'm here, because you're here. So it's an honor to speak to all of you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Yeah. Have a good day. Hello. Bye, all of you.